Hey everybody, welcome to Fantasy R&R. This is your host Ryan.
And I'm Rob.
And today we're going sailing.
I'm sailing away. This is Fantasy with Rob and Ryan. Fantasy R&R.
Today's episode, we're going to be asking Rob who is going down with a sinking ship or who's riding the ship. And we're going to start off at catcher with Yasmani Grandal of the White Sox. Rob, what's going on with this guy?
Yeah, this is one of our favorite catchers to clown on. I'm done and over with him. I've already traded him in one of my leagues. This guy is just not hitting at all. And for the White Sox offense to be as talented as they are, even hit with injuries, this guy should be doing much, much better, and it's just not happening.
All right, how about James McCann, catcher for the New York Mets?
Yes, a previous White Sox catcher. Everybody was all up in arms about how he's going to the Mets and they're going to have this revitalized lineup. Doesn't seem like it's happening for him. At this point, I'm looking at cutting bait on James McCann and seeing if I can get a flyer on somebody else. If Carson Kelly's still out there, I know we've been talking about him. I'd be much rather to have him or Sean Murphy, catcher for the Oakland Athletics, who is runs hot and cold, but is way more of a consistent hitter than James McCann has been so far this year.
All right, so let's move on to first base. This is a guy we may not agree on right now, one of my favorites. I'm still sticking with him. Pete Alonso for the New York Mets. I think he's riding the ship. What do you think about him right now?
I'm still on the fence with him. I feel like it's the end of the Titanic when it's going down and the captain's sitting there like waiting for the inevitable to come. I am the captain waiting for this ship to go down. The guy set the stage way too high for his rookie season. It seems like everything that he does is below average from what he has already done. So as of right now, I'm 50-50. I got 1 foot in the water here on Pete Alonso.
All right, so let's move over to Dom Smith. He would normally be backing him up. You're saying he's out and left right now. What's going on with him?
Yeah, another New York Met that's just he's struggling. Not as bad as Pete Alonso is, but Dom Smith is just not hitting for any average, not hitting for any power. Stats are backing up that the average is there, but his power is not. Now, coming up through the minors, he wasn't known as a power hitter. So him doing what he did last year was kind of an anomaly. But now with this whole condensed ball thing, it could very well be that, and we might just be looking at a guy who could hit for average, but not anything too much more than that. So I'm kind of sinking on Dom Smith as it stands.
All right, let's take the 90 feet down the line here. We're going to second base. David Fletcher for the Angels. Is he riding the ship or sinking the ship right now?
David Fletcher, I believe, is riding the ship. It looks like he's starting to hit for average like he does. Guy's not going to hit for power. He'll steal a couple bases. It's very nice he's leading off for the Angels, with Trout and Ohtani, and then once Rendon comes back, it should be sometime this week. So the run should be there. I'm liking what David Fletcher is doing so far.
Gleyber Torres. This is somebody we've talked about over the past couple podcasts as a possible drop. Are we getting worried about him? Now, obviously, you and me, we've talked about this. I've held on to him everywhere. You said just stay put, so I have. Gleyber Torres, you think he's riding the ship now?
Yeah, again, similar to the Angels lineup, Yankees lineup is just as potent, if not more potent. I'm saying stay with Torres. I think he's riding the ship here. He homered over the weekend, and I know when he came up, he was tearing the cover off the ball. I don't think he's that kind of guy, but for second short or whatnot, I think Torres is riding the ship and could still be a pretty solid piece for your fantasy lineups as it stands.
Okay, let's move on to shortstop. The ever-frustrating Francisco Lindor seems like he's spending more time bleaching his hair than he is playing baseball. How do you feel about him right now after this week?
Yeah, yet again, another Met that's been struggling. I feel like the hits are coming. Once the hits start coming, the home runs will come too. I think Lindor's riding the ship. As we had talked about earlier this year, some crazy lunatic was like, Lindor, if you can drop him or is looking to sell on him, I would try picking him up now. I believe he's riding the ship.
Okay, Cincinnati Reds shortstop Eugenio Suarez.
We went 3 straight positives, so I'm going negative here. Eugenio Suarez, a guy I just recently traded for Grandal, ironically enough. This guy is a sinking ship. I know they're saying the power is coming around. I sure as hell don't see it. His strikeout rate is way too high. And with sabermetrics, in baseball this year, the Adam Dunns of the world going in the Wayback Machine, they don't exist. And Eugenio Suarez is a guy, it doesn't seem like he's settling down any more than he is hitting home runs. I believe he only has, 2 to 3 home runs this season to begin with. So I believe this is a sinking ship.
All right, let's round the bags. Third base, Austin Reilly for the Atlanta Braves.
Yes, I'm a big Austin Reilly fan. 24 years old, has all the power in the world, and it seems as if suddenly he has patience Last time I checked, he had a 2 strikeout to 1 walk ratio. That's pretty good for a guy like Austin Reilly. Again, I know we had talked about him in earlier podcasts, worked with Chipper Jones in the outfield. I believe this is a real thing. In a perfect world with Austin Reilly sticking at third all season long, I'm not going to be shocked to see a 35 home run, 90 RBI, maybe even a potentially 280 average. I believe he's hitting 290 right now. He's been moved up in the lineup, batting 5th, and he's got plenty of hitters ahead of him, in Ronald Acuna Jr., Freddie Freeman, Ozzie Albies, and Marcell Ozuna. So really nice spot for him to be hitting in, and he won't be having to press, kind of batting more in the middle of the lineup but back half. So I believe Austin Reilly is not just riding the ship, but I believe this is a true legitimate breakout happening this year.
And Matt Chapman, Oakland Athletics, we've never brought him up before. Is he sinking or is he riding his ship right now?
Again, another third baseman. I think just riding the ship. Matt Chapman is a Gold Glove wizard, and I think the bat's starting to catch up now. I know a lot of people were hesitant on early on this season. Oakland Athletics Stadium, it changes every other year, so I don't know what the heck it's called this year, is a huge stadium, and it tends to cap these players, including Matt Chapman, but I believe Matt Chapman is riding the ship, and again, another guy, maybe somebody's trying to dangle out there, I jump on him now.
Once again, as I always say, the loneliest place in Little League. We're going to the outfield. Kyle Tucker for the Houston Astros.
Yes, Kyle Tucker is a guy I've been very high on the last couple years. He has been really struggling this year, and over the weekend, I know just yesterday he had a huge game. This guy has got plenty of power, he's got speed. He is in the back half of that Astros lineup, but similar to that of the other teams we've been talking about with really good lineups, Kyle Tucker not only riding the ship, but I think this is the start of something really big for Kyle Tucker, who's one of their top prospects for the last couple of years.
And how about New York Yankee Clint Frazier?
Yeah, another top prospect. You had a great spring. It kind of scuffled a little bit, but man, that Yankees outfield is starting to get crowded. You got Stanton, who's been healthy. Judge has been healthy, knock on wood. They did bring back Brett Gardner in the offseason, and somebody's going to get squeezed out of playing time. I know they have a DH. I'm not crazy, but Clint Frazier has been scuffling, and it has been bad. Really good defensively, too, which will help him stay in the lineup. But as things stand right now, I believe it is becoming, a sinking ship.
Okay, so let's talk about Tommy Pham from the Padres. Obviously, he was an MVP of getting stabbed at strip clubs, but what's he doing in baseball right now?
It's a really great question because the bleeding has continued here with Tommy Pham. Very similar to the Yankees outfield. It seems as if he's kind of getting pushed out. There's no DH in the NL this year, so that has not been any help to him whatsoever. He hasn't been hitting. Tommy Pham is really starting to look like a sinking ship as things stand right now.
Okay, so this next one, I don't even need your advice. Jorge Soler, guy's a goddamn Titanic. Let's move on. Austin Meadows for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, so your frustration, for anybody that's out there who happens to be listening, Ryan has Soler. I have Austin Meadows, who has just been killing me right now. Got power for days, 7 home runs, but man, he is really struggling, especially against left-handed hitters, which has always kind of been his thing that people were worried about. He's got a big swing, which helps, but the problem is the big swings are not leading to strikeouts so much, but man, he's free swinging against lefties. And with the Rays constantly playing this platoon game, you never know whether or not he's essentially going to be hitting first, second, ninth, seventh. It's crazy. He hasn't been that dramatic. I'm exaggerating here, but things really haven't been looking good. And as things stand, May 10th, I have a potential trade on the board, Austin Meadows. Me trading my Austin Meadows for Padres, Eric Hosmer, and I'm contemplating it. I think it's a pretty interesting, getting more of a across the board kind of guy than Meadows, who looks to be becoming a true only 3 category guy. The patience has been there with Meadows. He's hitting the ball really hard, but it isn't translating yet, and it makes me wonder, how long this is going to take for him to right the ship, but right now, sinking ship.
All right, interesting. Yeah, so guys, if Meadows gets traded by Rob, we'll be back in a few weeks so he can express his frustration over Meadows going on a tear. So we're going to move on to starting pitcher now. We got Jamal Marquez with the Colorado Rockies. Riding the ship or sinking the ship here?
Yeah, this one's debatable. I mean, Jamal Marquez is a great pitcher. He just pitches one for the wrong team and in the wrong ballpark. Jamal Marquez needs to be traded. He is riding the ship while sinking the ship at the same time because the Colorado Rockies organization in whole, as you had said earlier, the Titanic. This team is going nowhere. Their offense is anemic away from Coors Field, and Jamal Marquez, you feel bad for the guy. Just yesterday, pitching against a very potent Cardinals lineup. 6 innings, 6 strikeouts, 1 earned, gets the loss. So, I mean, and that was in Busch Stadium. I say the Rockies have a gem in their hand. They know they do with Jamal Marquez. They need to trade this guy because he will flourish on any contending team. So, again, same thing as we had said earlier. I've got my 1 foot in the water here with Jamal Marquez.
Lucas Giolito of the White Sox.
Lucas Giolito is a guy I traded for earlier this season, and he is worrying me to death, and I don't understand why this is happening, but it is. Strikeouts really aren't there for him this year. Lack of command seems to be happening. I know in the Boston Marathon game that they had, he got destroyed by the Rockies. A report came out and he had a cut on his finger. I don't understand it. I mean, we're almost going on 3 weeks since that game, and he still doesn't look the same. I believe right now as it stands, he looks like a sinking ship, but I have got my high hopes on Giolito. Wouldn't trade for this guy if I didn't think so. He will right the ship. Right now, doesn't look so good.
How about Cincinnati Reds starting pitcher Luis Castillo?
Yes, this is a guy. See, there goes those alarms again. They know. Luis Castillo is a sinking ship. This guy is a sinking ship. He can't pitch. He is giving up far too many hits. It's not there for this guy, and it's a shame. You know, the past couple years, I keep backing up the fact that like his ERA is going to balance out to his WHIP, and it's not happening. The strikeouts, he's a strikeout machine. It still just isn't happening. You know, a lot of this has to do too with pitching at Great American Ballpark, which happens to be a pitcher haven, and fly balls tend to be home runs in Cincinnati, and that's where he's grown accustomed to giving way too many hits that become pop-ups, that become home runs. So yes, I believe Luis Castillo is a sinking ship. A report has come out recently that he's almost there. Every time I ever hear that, I'm just thinking, hey, what can we do to just settle the fan base down, or just to kind of pump him up a little bit? I don't see it happening at all.
Okay, let's go on to the relieving pitchers. We got Rysel Iglesias from the LA Angels, somebody I think has been riding the ship. How do you feel about him?
Yeah, I concur. I believe the exact same thing. Rysel Iglesias started out shaky this year, was traded from the Reds to the Angels. The Angels came out and said, this is our guy, and it's happening. I would not stress about Rysel Iglesias. This guy's a really good pitcher with a good repertoire, and it's starting to show now. He is riding the ship.
And last but not least, or maybe least, depending on how you view it, Shane Green from the Atlanta Braves.
Yep, Shane Green was signed just yesterday. The Atlanta Braves gives them another righty in their bullpen. Offense is clicking, as we had talked about earlier. And if you're in a holds league and Shane Green happens to be on the waiver wire, which I believe he would be, I say get him as fast as possible, because I believe the Braves in a hole have started hitting, and the wins are going to come, and you're going to want pieces of their bullpen on your fantasy team going forward. I believe he is righting the ship by essentially signing a piece of paper saying, hey, I'll play baseball for 1 year and you'll give me $1.5 million.
Oh, Captain, my Captain. All right, guys, that's going to do it for our latest fantasy baseball episode. This was your host, Ryan M. Robb with Fantasy R&R. We'll see you next time.